Welcome back to another episode of Drivers4Drivers. I'm Ken Cox. We got Francis Hamm.
Hi.
Kenny Kuntz.
Howdy.
Behind the scenes, we've got Arnell.
Hello.
And we are
Drivers4Drivers.
So we thought this episode we would kind of reel it back and kind of explain and why we are drivers for drivers. That's drivers, the number 4 drivers.
I'm lost already.
Are you? Too many fingers?
There's only 3 of us here.
There is. So you're a driver. You've been a driver for many, many, many years. I'm a driver. I've been a driver for a decade, a little over. Francis, well, he's been horse and buggy and all kinds of stuff.
That's right.
So that leaves one more driver, right?
Literally horsepower.
Horsepower.
When he was driving.
That's right. Come on, Clyde.
How many horses was the power, right?
One. I drove a team. So that leaves the number 4 driver, and that's you guys out there listening. You guys are the 4th driver on that, and that's why we are Drivers4Drivers.
I missed that one. You guys got to cue me in.
Oh, my God. We need teleprompters.
Yeah. Applaud.
So we're going to dive into a little bit of Kenny, see what his adventure's been like, why he's come to Giltner, why he stays with Giltner, his upbringing, what got him into trucking. And when you're ready, good sir.
Well, I'll try not to put anyone to sleep.
You got good stories. I'm excited about this.
Yeah. Well, I started off in 1986.
Oh, I was born in 1986.
You were?
No.
Oh, thank God. I got my chauffeur's license. I done custom farming here locally. Got married in 89. Couldn't leave the state till I was 21, but had an itch to go long-haul trucking. At 21, I was long-haul trucking. Worked for several companies around this area. We went all over. Started having kids. So I would switch from long-haul to some local work, and then actually, local work never paid as much as long haul, so back on the road I'd go. Met Giltner in, well, before that, I became a safety director for a while.
Oh, right.
That got me off the road.
Yeah, that does that.
Did that for a little bit, 4 years, I think, 5 years. And seeing the drivers come in and hearing their stories, I got the itch to go back on the road.
It's funny how that happens. I still do that. I need to get in the truck once in a while.
Yeah, so I keep my CDL.
Mm-hmm.
But then I met Giltner, and they actually had this owner-operator program and leased me a truck. And before I knew it, I think 8 years later, I had up to 14 trucks.
My goodness.
My own authority and running a crew of drivers. I did that up until 5 years ago, and Greg says, why don't you come in the office and do that? So I've been here ever since.
Fantastic. What's the weirdest situation you've been in while trucking, while doing OTR?
The weirdest situation? I can tell you the hurtfulest.
What's the hurtfulest?
I had a truck get in an accident in Texas. Yeah, bad one. Cost me, I think the ballpark was $50,000.
Ouch.
It's 4 months down.
Mm-hmm.
And truck got done, and the old owner of Giltner had a guy that needed to come up here to get a truck and wrecked it again in Colorado.
Oh, no.
Well, that was hurtful. That was probably the most hurtful.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Insurance-wise, too.
Getting in a wreck's not cheap.
No.
When you do that and you try to go to renew, it's double or triple what you paid the year before.
The things you remember. Now, I actually enjoyed driving. They always say the freedom of trucking. It's a lot different now. Used to be you'd see a truck every 30 cars, and now you see 30 trucks every one car. So way different trucking back then.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been coast to coast. I've hauled refrigerated. I've hauled dry vans. I've run a tanker. I've run flatbed, drop decks. I've run it all.
That's fun. What's the heaviest load?
Grain is pretty heavy, pulling doubles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Used to run up to Morrill County with grain, and then we'd load beets, believe it or not,
Really?
in those hoppers. Just dent the crud out of them hoppers. Spend all your time climbing in the hopper to get your grain out because the grain would settle in where the beets dented them.
Look like a golf ball, but yeah.
We used to have to unload all of our own freight.
We were talking about lumpers earlier and how that's a lucrative business.
Yep.
Or appears to be. I mean, on this side looking in.
You know, you're talking about unloading your own freight. I had delivered a load of product one time, and it's frozen meals. And they didn't believe in putting those individual frozen meals in a case. And there was 8,200 cases in the trailer. They were all individual, all floor loaded, and had to separate it. And there was like 80 different SKUs in that trailer. And where I was delivering, it was large wood and small wood. And you had to stack by SKUs.
Oh my gosh.
And, you know, as you're going through and you build a bigger pallet, then the receiver would come in and take it out of your trailer. You put another pallet down, and then you'd find 5 more cases that belonged on the other small pallet. So you'd have to run out of the trailer and go put it on there. It took me 2.5 days. Frozen warehouse, frozen food. It was 20 below zero in that place.
No, thank you.
And 2.5 days of delivering one load.
It's probably faster than they can unload you now.
For some of our guys out there, it is.
I used to run fish out of Buell down to the Bay Area. We'd have
Right on.
12 drops, and a lot of these fish markets, they don't have docks. They're right in businesses. You just throw your 4-ways on, go open just your right door, and hop up in there and pallet jack that stuff to the back. There's salmon patties, all sorts of stuff in these.
Mm-hmm.
They'd come out with a little forklift, pull it off the back, get out, cars honking, flipping you the bird. Yeah. Done that for quite a few years, too. That was a good job.
Yeah. Not too bad.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have to whip your horses to get them moving?
That's right.
Was there wooden wheels on them?
No doubt, no doubt. Well, I started driving. You know, I had to wait to get my chauffeur's license because they wouldn't give it to you right at the beginning, you know. So I got my learner's permit in 1980, and I got my chauffeur's license in 81.
Okay, that's when I was born. That's 43 years ago, if you're wondering.
And so I started hauling hay on the farm. You know, grew up in a farm in eastern Colorado, at least east of I-25. Started running the mountains in Colorado, and from there, I guess I went into commercial trucking, pulling a flatbed, hauled lumber, and then started hauling reefer. Went into reefers then at that point, and then hauled live turkeys.
I think I remember a story about them turkeys.
That's right. That's right. And then back into reefers again. I've pulled pneumatics, and now we're back into reefers. You know, I'm not driving anymore. I drove for a number of years, and then kind of worked my way into the fleet operations, and been able to work with just some magnificent drivers out there, just some people just salt of the earth, you know, good truck drivers, guys and gals that I've worked with, that I've got all the respect in the world for them for what they do. You know, trucking back when I was trucking was a little bit different than what it is today in all kinds of different aspects, the equipment, the receivers, the traffic, the everything that goes with it, you know. And it's just been more challenging, I think, through the years. The trucks have gotten nicer, you know. I didn't have any air conditioning or power steering or anything like that, but it made me a pretty good backer-upper, I can tell you that, because you didn't want to do it twice. So yeah, I got pretty good at that, but I didn't have near the challenges of opportunities and stuff that you have today with all the traffic and everything that our drivers deal with today. Much different, and it's a tougher job, I think, today than what it was then. You know, I really do. But it's always been a good career throughout all the years. I've enjoyed it. I enjoy not only working with our drivers, but our shop folks as well. You know, it's pretty cool when you can get on a phone and talk to somebody in the shop and you say, hey, this thing's making this noise over here. And they're like, well, is it doing this? And it's like, yeah, it's doing that. Okay, this is what it is. You're all right. Take it on into the shop, you know. And it's pretty cool that you got people out there that have got that kind of knowledge that you're able to work with that'll help you out whenever you need help.
For sure.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff.
I'm going to ask you the same question. Your weirdest moment on the truck, or your hardest, or your most bizarre, or.
What about the turkeys?
Yeah, we got to know the turkey.
After that experience, is that what made you get into management?
That's right. I've had, well, you know, I'll talk a little bit about turkeys. So I was hauling a full load of hens, and these trailers that we pulled had cages on them, and the bars were wide enough when you were hauling toms. The little tom turkeys couldn't get their head through the bars, but the hens were much smaller. So I loaded a load of hens, and I was taking them to the plant. And you do it at night when the birds are pretty tranquil, you know. And they had loaded me up, and I had 1,880 hens on the trailer. And the way you load those, you pull in and they load one whole side of the trailer, and you go turn into the load, back up, pull back to the loader, and then they load the other side. Coming into town, it's dark. I pull into this one little town that's got one traffic light, and there's some lights at that traffic light, street lights. So I pulled in, I just start slowing down, and I look out my mirror, and I got 900 hens looking forward on one side of the trailer and 900 hens on the other side of the trailer. And they're like, where are we going? I just see all these hens looking out. I had to laugh. You know, it's pretty funny to look out and see them all looking forward like that. And if somebody would have seen me, they'd probably thought I was half crazy or something, laughing in that truck all by myself. But it was pretty comical. That was a pretty good time.
What brought you to Giltner?
You know, I was living in South Dakota at the time, and my wife and I, it's tough weather in the wintertime.
Sure is.
You know, and we had lived there for 10 years, and I had been to Twin Falls a number of times. So we thought, you know, let's go ahead and relocate. And in moving here, I was very fortunate to meet Greg and Shauna, and they gave me the opportunity to join up with the Giltner team. And so I joined up, and it's been almost 5 years now that I've been with Giltner, and this has just been a great experience.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, it's been really good.
Right on. I started my trucking debut in 2010.
That's when I was born.
Several decades after y'all. Went through school. You guys never went through the schooling to do that, which is awesome to me. The schools, they get you prepared for the test. They don't prepare you to be a truck driver. They get you prepared to do the test, get your CDL. Then from there, progressed on to somebody who would hire me on. A lot of companies like ours want experience because of insurance purposes. So you get these great big mega carriers. And I got hired on there, and I started doing over the road, started in reefer. Did that for a little while, hadn't been home. The company I was with, I don't recommend. I'm obviously not going to say who they are. wasn't home for 3 months, couldn't get me back through at the time we were in Cheyenne, which I-80 goes right through there. They kept me out east. So I was like, well, I can't do this. The money isn't that good. I was making a little bit less than I was when I was the decade prior to that, I was in the Air Force. And I was making less than I was in the Air Force, which, we're just above, food stamps. So like, this isn't going to work. So I came back home and started doing some stuff back at the house. And then I get this phone call like, hey, I know you've at your CDL, you did really good in school. Do you want to come up to the oil field? All right, sure. He says, you'll make X amount of dollars. I was like, shoot, yeah. So anyway, get up to the oil field. I'm doing tanker. I'm running water, flow back, stuff like that. Did that for many years. Met my now call him brother and his wife up there, and we got a bunch of trucks together and a bunch of water trucks, and we started doing tanker and all that up there. The bottom started falling out up there in North Dakota, so we bounced, came back down to Twin, and started a different company, and then Mike's neighbor was running for our sister company at the time. And he's like, hey, you guys, nope, scratch that. He was running, but he ran for another freight company that was running California to Alaska. And says, you guys will make a lot of money. So Mike gives me a call and says, hey, you should come do this. I'm like, shoot, yeah. So then we team drove California to Alaska, and we did that until the company that we were running with, for all that produce, they decided to close those particular stores down in Alaska. So we decided, like, all right, now what do we do? He came back, started working more on the business that we had built down here, and the wife and I at the time stayed in Alaska. And I was going to be law enforcement. I was going to stay up there and, drive around real fast and pull people over. And then I get a phone call again from Mike saying, hey, come down here, work for the sister company of Giltner at the time, and, we'll make good money. It'll be fun. So I flew down to Utah, bought me a truck, drove it up, got it stickered, all that stuff, and then we started running for the sister company. And while doing that, I learned I got to meet everybody that works for Giltner now, and realize this isn't just somewhere where they come and it's not just a job for them. A lot of these people have been here for two decades. They've been here a long time. And even though we don't see eye to eye all the time, and we have our little squabbles and whatnot, like, everyone that's working here enjoys what they're doing, and they're here for the drivers. I may not get along with this individual, but watching them work with the drivers to make sure that they're prospering, to make sure that they're doing all that, just kind of like, I don't know, it fills me with pride. So that's what brought me, like, keeps me here at Giltner. Mm-hmm. Everyone just really rooting for the drivers, and I get a lot of cool little opportunities along the way. I get to do this. I get to work with the ITA, that kind of stuff. So it's a lot of fun. I just appreciate all the drivers that are out there doing the hard work now, and I get that itch too. I want to get out there and, like,
oh yeah,
I got to run a load or two. Once in a while I get to.
One thing about the Giltner family is they want everybody to succeed. Yeah. It's not about Giltner. Right. There's this driver first mentality around here, and that's what they focus on. I wouldn't have been able to do my own company and that opportunity without Giltner at that time. Mm-hmm. And they backed me the whole time. Yeah. That was a 10-year stretch of pretty much just running Giltner freight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I did very well.
Yep. No, that's right. Giltner is held pretty highly, and it's not just with us here. I've traveled around, I've gone to Monterey and been at some conventions there. I was just at a convention up in Sun Valley and talking to a bunch of customers. we reached out looking at a new prospective customer that's a grocery chain down in eastern Texas and Louisiana. And I was talking to their purchasing agent, the person that dealt with the transportation needs. And she knew right off the bat. As soon as I said Giltner, she knew exactly who we were. All the other places that I've gone to, everybody knows who Giltner is. And they really respect the operation. And the reality is, it's not the company, it's the drivers that are out there representing this name
100%.
Everywhere they go. And that's really what makes us the better move and kind of separates us from the pack. It really is. Speaking of being up in Sun Valley, it was a potato association, IGSA, that was up there. And it was good to meet some of those folks and whatnot. But we looking at transportation, talking to the customers, it's one of the things that it's the final step in their process. They're growing potatoes from the beginning to the end into cellars and everything else, and it's that last step, the last mile, if you want to call it, from the seller to the customer. And that's where we come in. And it was good. It was good, and a lot of good comments from the group up there. It was great to be part of that. And just overall, I think the takeaway from it was they appreciate us being in the business, and they look forward to working with us.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Those of you that are out there listening, let us know below in the comments what your thoughts are. What made you make the better move? What keeps you here? Those things.
I will say one thing.
Say two things.
I've seen drivers come and go here. A lot of guys will be listening to the chatter out there. Grass is always greener. You can make more money here. But I also see them come back, wanting to come back. I should give a lot of kudos to the Giltner team, that when a driver leaves and wants to come back, that he's missing what was here.
Right.
So when you're talking the better move, they come up with that for a reason.
Yep.
Yeah. That's the driver first mentality here.
No, absolutely. Well, I know I'd like to thank everybody, all of our team out there that's running, owner operators, some of our company drivers, our office staff, shop staff. Without everybody's part on this, we couldn't do what we need to do. I want to thank the drivers for everything that you're doing. It's a tough job. I know it's a tough job. Without you doing what you do every day, we couldn't be here. We couldn't do what we're trying to do here every day. So thank you very much, and keep it safe.
I was just wondering if I was driver 1, if they're driver 4.
We'll see you next time.
See ya.